You're listening to the We Are Libertarians podcast network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com.
Are you a diehard comic book collector?
Or maybe a lapsed fan?
Maybe even someone who has never picked up a comic book in their life. Hi, I'm Remso Martinez.
And I'm Mark Claire. Every single Wednesday at the Second Print Comics podcast, Remso and I take a deep dive into the storylines, character arcs, moments, and events that made us the fans we are today.
Tune in every Wednesday for new episodes available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and wherever else podcasts are available.
Check out more from the Second Print Comics podcast at secondprintcomics.com.
Prepare yourself. You're on the run with Remso W. Martinez.
Like, oh, you had a wild night last night too.
I'm just gonna start recording now. I'm glad that was the first thing you heard. People thought I died. Megan, Rachel, great to have you both on. Yeah, no, I was telling Megan while you were off, doing whatever it is, Rachel, you do. But no, I've been like, today has been really weird for me. Uh-huh. Like, I don't take naps, but I took a 3-hour nap in the afternoon. And the reason why was because I started taking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu classes to, eat, pray, love, channel my inner testosterone badass, triangle power and stuff like that. But like, it's not like I'm having fun with it. Like, I genuinely am. And, I really do enjoy going, but like, they tell you to start off with like really small goals at the beginning. And so far, one of my goals at the end of each class is just not to black out. Because as I was explaining to Megan, the first class I went to was taught by one professor. That's what we call them, professors, who is just like, he's a former UFC fighter. And he's just like, that's the class that all the dudes who like are ninjas going to. Yeah. Like, that's the one that I decided to do as like my first class. And after that class, which is only an hour long, I look like I just like fell into a swimming pool. I don't even think I got all my clothes on to like change out. So it's like, half a pant leg here, my t-shirt's backwards. Like, I'm still wearing like my cup and everything. I'm just like, everyone leave me alone. So I go to my car and I blacked out in my car. What? So I'm there for like 25 minutes, just like dead. Like it was bad too. And it's Wisconsin summer when that happened. So like, it's still like 60 degrees at like 7:00. So like the windows are fogged and people are looking in. I hear somebody's like, did he die? And I'm just like, I never want to be in that situation again. So I had to take a few classes off because I caught a cold. I got COVID tested and strep tested. So it was just a cold. But like, it's already been a weird week for me because the last time you saw me, I probably had like a mustache goatee. Yeah. I had to shave that off, sadly, because like I sneezed on myself and like it got everywhere. And usually I can tolerate it, but it was really bad. So I jump in the shower and I grab some like Noxzema cream and a razor. I'm just like, this shit dies tonight. So I'm gonna grow it back because I feel like Samson. It's like that little extra part of me that's like, oh, this guy looks kind of edgy. I wonder what he's doing. Yeah. And I'm like, the act is working. Now it's gone. So people are just like, I'm going to choke this guy. So I go to class today. It's at 10:00. And this one was like the beginner's class. So at the very end of it, I started getting like tunnel vision. And I'm like, shit, don't let them see you fall. So I just get up to a wall next to the changing room. As everyone is in front of me, I let them go in front of me. I just leaned against the wall and somebody was like, oh, look, he's meditating. And I'm just like, no, bitch, I'm dying. Like, this is not like this. Like, I might need you to call an ambulance. Like, it was just hardcore. So by the time I got to my car, about 15 minutes later, I was like, you know what? Change completely into like your post-workout clothes. So I go to my car, I drive home, and I immediately take like a 3-hour nap. And like my entire day was like, oh crap. Like, I've got to get stuff done. So like literally right before you heard me almost dying, I looked at Rachel and I'm like, you might hear a dishwasher in the background. And I'm like, oh no, I even forgot to wash my actual clothes I need for tomorrow. So it's one of those days. Top that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't think we can.
Did she freeze?
Rachel?
Oh.
She may have.
Oh.
Our little like pre-pep talk before, she kept freezing too. So it's just going to be a freezing day, I guess.
We're just going to have to learn to adapt. God, you could see me sweating on the camera. Thank God this is an audio only show. I look like the girl from The Ring.
Oh, I think
she'll join back in.
That story was so killer. She just couldn't.
She's just like, some things just I don't need to do this.
It's funny because aren't we supposed to talk about dating or something today? Because I was
something like that.
Like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for.
Yeah, I don't know how that started. You just asked me how my weekend was, and I'm like, I might need to go to the ER. But yeah, Rachel, you're back. You didn't miss anything. I heard you had a crazy week, a crazy weekend. Is this stuff you could say out loud? It's not because you're muted.
I got like kicked off of Zoom, and then that was very odd. So I'm back, but
it's all good. Long story short, I didn't die.
Yeah. Good.
Neither did Rachel, and neither did I.
Yeah. So we really did a great job.
Small accomplishments.
Yeah. It's little things.
I heard you had a crazy weekend.
Yeah, it was. It's just people are a little too nice with the free drinks, and I don't know when to say no to free drinks.
I have that problem all the time. People are just offering them to me like it's going out of style. I'm likable, I guess.
I mean, people like I feel like that's how people, or a couple of guys were yesterday, where it's like, I'm just going to spend my entire inheritance on this girl's drinks, and it's like I'm only 5'1". I maybe need like 3, not 10.
What was the context?
Just at a bar, this guy was just buying me drinks.
Oh.
Well, multiple guys, but...
Yeah, multiple guys want to buy me drinks all the time, too.
I'm sure. You just got to fight them off you. You're like, no, I can pay for my own drinks.
It's a struggle. It's like, guys, as much as I want you to spend your money on me, this has to stop.
I got to draw the line somewhere.
Ladies, I want to have you back on because of a follow-up discussion to what we discussed last time. Some stuff has occurred over here at the On the Run community, especially with everyone's good friend Derek over at the Degenerate panel. A couple weeks ago, he talked about one of the first dates he's been on in 5 years. And it was with a girl. And I'll go ahead and link to the episode in the show notes so people can go back and listen to that. It was our Human Centipede musical episode. The context is fleeting. But basically... Derek went ahead and we convinced him to reach out to this girl who had a crush on him apparently when we were in high school. And, she still lives in the hometown that we all grew up in. So he just cold messaged her and was like, hey, it's been a while. I'd love to, buy you coffee or a drink or something. And within a few minutes, like it was flourishing. Like she was like, oh my God, yes. Like, I'm imagining like snaps in the background. Like he messaged me. Like it was really awesome. And, we're all really excited for him because he hasn't been on a date in 5 years. So he showed up to the place that they planned on meeting and she ghosted him. But that's not the worst part. Part. She ghosted him. She didn't show up at all. So
message just wasn't going to be there.
No. So she completely like did that, but that's not the worst part. The worst part is he chalked it up as, hey, I guess you're not coming. I have to go do something. We'll catch up later. She didn't message him for 5 days. And then she was like, hey, listen, I'm sorry. I had some stuff happening. Later, we found out through, spying on her on Facebook that she went out with some friends to go party. But she reached out to him about 5 days later and planned another date where she set the location and the time. Oh, no. And then she still didn't show up.
No, stop.
I feel so bad for him. God, I would never date again. Like 5 years.
Oh, my God.
Okay, but you want to hear what the worst part was? It happened a third time.
Stop. Why did he give her chances?
Next year out, baby. Like,
no, I would say the first time. Done.
Yeah, the first time ghosting, but.
First time in 5 days delay.
Yeah, no.
Like we all were like, listen, man, like if you really want to go out with her or something and you want to forgive this one time thing, like that's up to you. I was like, no, don't do it. A few of my friends who should not give relationship advice were like, shoot your shot, man, try again. So I obviously, he tried to do it again, but like, the first time he planned the whole thing. The next two times she planned it each time. And it got to the point where it was just like, he finally got to the point where he's like, I'm better than this. Like, I deserve more respect than this. This is just wrong. And I was really proud of him because I think he's still trying to get out there and everything. And that was a good moment of growth for him, because it's like, just because she said yes one time doesn't mean you owe her anything at this point. But I am curious, after the first ghosting, like if that happened on the reverse end of things with either of you two, how would you respond to that?
I don't think I'd give them another chance. It's like if they were to flake like an hour before or something, or be like, hey, sorry, not gonna be able to make it, this crazy emergency happened, then like that's one thing. But like to actually not show up and not message for 5 days, it's like if I drove all the way there, like gas is not cheap right now. Like,
shout out Biden. No, I agree with you, Megan. I would not give them a chance unless they had, even if it was like, 10 minutes before, 30 minutes before, they're like, hey, can we actually move it to a different time or whatever? Like, hey, I can't make it. Something came up. But it's like, I hate when people say that they're too busy to they're like, oh, I'm really busy. Sorry, you haven't heard from me in like a week. It's like, it takes 5 seconds to let someone know that you can't make it. I think it's disrespectful to just not say anything and then not show up. And I wouldn't be disrespected twice. So
yeah, I mean, it was one of those situations where, and I was never ghosted. Like I was lucky in that sense. Like, I definitely had women cancel on me and stuff like that. And I know that's happened with plenty of people, but like the whole just complete disappear, like leave you there looking like a moron. Like, I felt really bad. And like, everyone's heard of the one time that's happened. This dude is in like the Guinness Book of World Records now. And it's not even his fault. And it's he planned the first time, and then to keep her accountable, he was like, you choose what you want to do. So by the third time, he was just like, like this, I deserve more than this.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's like a few hours ahead of time, like that's one thing, but like you need a few hours heads up of like, hey, we're canceling, we're rescheduling, whatever. Like that's fine. That's still a little flaky. And it's kind of like,
yeah, I don't love that, but it's better.
Yeah, it's definitely not. I can't imagine like actually showing up somewhere than them not showing up. Like,
I think I would cry. I'm not going to lie. I think I would cry.
Yeah, even if you didn't like the guy.
I mean, you're really like when you're going out in a situation where it's like you obviously have an interest in the person, or you think the person has a real interest in you. Like you're really opening yourself up. Like it's not just like somebody forgot to show up to something.
Yeah.
Like it's a completely different thing. So the fact that he kept willing to do it, but then he took it like a champ. I am still really proud of him. But I see this with some dudes that I know who don't take it the way that he would have. He was just like, oh, women don't want to go out with me. Like I'm going to die alone and everything. I'm like, no, like even horrible people find somebody.
That's fair.
Like
I'm writing that down.
Over exes, right, Rash? Like,
yeah.
That's the quote of the day. Even horrible people find somebody.
Yeah, that should be like one of those like Pinterest quotes or whatever.
All my exes found me at one point, just couldn't keep it. So.
But that leads to kind of the question that was brought up by fan demand, because apparently people coming here for advice don't have anything better to do. So we might as well go ahead and help them in some way. It's the idea of first dates. I went ahead and brought up to Derek that's like, going forward, the coffee date is fine. The date for drinks is fine. But I think if you want to go ahead and really get to know somebody, especially if you're nervous, and for him, it's like he hasn't dated in 5 years. It's like, you gotta put yourself in a position where you're going to be as not uncomfortable as possible, if that makes sense. So it's like, if you're sitting down, if you're just ordering food, if you're just staring directly at a person, it's like, you're going to be fidgety. You're not going to be your most optimal self. Like even the most confident guys are just not like that. So I brought up, it's like, Derek, I think you should go do something. And it doesn't even need to be anything crazy. Like I'd say go bowling. I know a lot of people that went on. I know a lot of people who were like bowling, but it's like, I know a lot of people who went on bowling dates and they had fun, or mini golf or something else. This idea of actually doing something. So I went ahead and brought that up to him. And I think, that's his plan next time. But really, guys try and imagine what they think they would want if they were a woman. And that's the one thing where I'm like, that's the biggest fucking mistake, because this idea that you think you understand women, you'll never do it. So you might as well just Google it or ask. And 9 times out of 10, Google is wrong. So we'll start, from here. Rachel to Megan, ideal first date for somebody that let's assume that you've met them passingly. You don't already know them completely. Mm-hmm. It's not like you were friends and then he asked you out. This is somebody who you've met a couple of times and there's an infatuation and he asks you out, and it's very much a date.
I would honestly say I like the idea of activities, but honestly for me, a good first date for me would be going to a restaurant, because one, I'm happiest with food. And if I have food, I'm like thriving. And I feel like, I feel like you can just talk the most, because like with bowling, it's a lot of like, oh, it's my turn to bowl. It's it's a lot of getting up and walking. So I feel like it might not be the most ideal first date, because it's kind of hard to hold a conversation. But I like dinner, because then it's also like, if you want to keep the convo going, you can like get drinks or go get dessert afterwards, or go for, a drive or a walk after. So I like dinner because it's like, it's kind of a set time frame. Like, it's probably going to be like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And then if you want to extend it, you can. So I would say my ideal first date would be like dinner at a like local restaurant. It's like not a chain or something.
Dinner's classic. You can't go wrong with dinner at the end. Me and Megan were talking about this the other day, that we really like intentionality, and I want to know that it's a date. I want it to be like, I want to take you on a date. Let's go here at You're
7.
welcome. You're welcome. People need to go back and listen to that episode. But yeah, I mean, I think I think the intention of it is important too. And I mean, what we kind of touched on last time is I think he was fine bringing up, like, the first place they met up was a Panera. Mm-hmm. It's like, he had to work later that afternoon, so it was already on the way and everything. And she was cool with it. Then the next 2 places that she brought up were still like cafes. Mm-hmm. So it's like, that's still kind of within the realm, and, whatever. But, I would have never brought that up. It's like, you don't want to just meet like during the middle of the day at a place where you're typically going to see people that you usually already see. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Megan?
Yeah, I would say I like the idea of like an activity, but I think sometimes it depends on how well you know the person. Because I think sometimes doing activities for like the very first day, like if you don't know them that well, can be a little bit awkward. But another like fun activity, depending on if it's like summer or spring though, is like going for like a hike or like kind of a long walk. I remember there was this first date I went on that was like around this lake.
You would go on a first date. I'm sorry. You would go on a hike for a first date with somebody?
I did. And it was,
there's no like serial killer vibes.
Oh, see, that's the thing. You have to like know the person. Like
I've seen a lot of Netflix.
No, see, I wouldn't go on a first date. Cause I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Hiking on a first date to me isn't cute. It's like, I could just go on a walk with a friend,
That's true. Yeah. I mean, this person I like already liked. So it was, not like, but if it was a stranger, then that would be.
You don't think he was going to kill you?
Yeah, no, I knew he wasn't. Not then, at least, Still hasn't. I mean, I was still alive.
The theme of the episode is that we're all still alive.
Yeah, we've all survived. We did not die in our cars today. We've survived all of our first dates. But no, that's just like a fun one if you like know the person. But yeah, I mean, for like if it was a first time like stranger, then that would be like, a little much.
I mean, I see going on a hike with somebody, especially if I think I'm trying to think how I would
like a vigorous hike. Like it wasn't like up a mountain.
If he invited you to his apartment, to cook you dinner. I almost see that as like the same thing as like going on a hike, because you're going somewhere where there's nobody else, where you're only with that person.
The park was like super popular, so it wasn't like, you know, super isolated, but I guess I wouldn't have known that going into it, but.
So you're just trying to justify why you do unsafe things.
Like, oh yes.
This is why more women die in national parks now. I'm starting to understand it.
I'm glad I wasn't like poor Gabby Petito. May she rest in peace. That came out so
too soon. Too soon.
Really, that's a horrible joke.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
Okay.
Rachel, you're going to host the rest of the episode. I'm going to contemplate.
No, my coworkers have had so many like conspiracies about that whole thing. So that's why it came to my mind. But I'm not that insensitive to people dying, I promise. But back to dating.
Okay.
What are you gonna say?
I don't know where we go past that. Like, you're just like, okay, we're gonna move on now. And I'm like, no, I still feel like I'm on that. But yeah, we should probably. God damn it, Megan. Okay.
So Remso, what would you describe your ideal? Wait, Megan, what would your ideal first date be then? Hiking or no?
Well, no, that's not like.
I like how you haven't answered the question.
My fiance was kind of like a predator. She that doesn't sound good.
Can that be the start of the episode?
It's either that or me dying in my car. No, like it was like, okay, like I suggested we go get dinner, but like she suggested, because it was like free burrito night at Chipotle. It's like, let's go get Chipotle and then let's go have it. Let's go eat. Let's go have like a picnic at the picnic area of the medical campus. Now, I didn't know what the medical campus at Liberty University was. It's on like, you know, the Mount Doom of Lynchburg. So it oversees the entire city, and it's really nice. But here's the thing though, like it was already really dark by the time we got there and there was nobody there. And we were also technically trespassing. So it was one of those situations where it's like, I just thought this was all normal, but she was baiting me. So, you know, I'm alive. Like, you know, things worked out, but you know, like I had suggested like all my worst dates always usually ended up starting with dinner first. I think that's why I was so adverse to it, because I'm like, if we go see a concert or if we go do something where at least there's other people and it's not like one that you've already been on like a dozen times before, at least one, it'll be memorable. Two, it'll make me feel less nervous. And three, it gives us something to do together. So, because like my thing was always like, I just don't like staring across at a person. Like I always got nervous of that. And for a lot of dudes who go on dates like that, you like obviously everything turns into, is it a success or a failure? But it's always like, why would I ever prop myself up in a position where I do have the potential to fail on that? So it's like, what can I do to minimize the circumstance where it's like, I want to eliminate like awkward silences or awkward staring, or just, you know, we're here and I don't want to pull out my phone and I would feel like shit if she pulled out her phone, something like that.
It's funny. It's funny you say that because I remember, this is just like a random memory that triggered, but in
murder?
Like no. In college, I was in this class.
R.I.P. Gabby. Sorry, I'll shut up.
It was like a consumer behavior class, and they were talking about like the differences between men and women. And they talked about how like women, like a lot of times when they hang out, they like to just catch up and talk or do something where they can talk a lot about themselves. Whereas guys, when they hang out with like other guys, they like to do an activity like a video game or like basketball or like whatever. And it's just kind of like how we're wired. So it makes sense that for dates, like guys are more comfortable.
I've never thought about that. Yes, I like talking to someone. Like that's why I like dinner, because like I just want to talk to you. I don't want to do anything else.
I think it also depends on like the degree of which I know a person. Like if it was, and I never went on a date with a woman I had been a friend with first. It was always women who I had met and there had been a quick infatuation, and then I would ask them out. So it's like there's still a lot to kind of figure out about this person. But in terms of like how men communicate with men and how women communicate with women, I heard this one guy, he wrote a book about men forming social clubs or social groups in an age of loneliness or something like that. And what he summed it up as men communicate shoulder to shoulder and women communicate face to face. It's like men will not have conversations over the phone with each other unless somebody's dead or dying, to keep with the death theme. So like, you know, men won't do that. Men will not schedule a time to go get coffee with one another. Whereas women will do that. And I think it's just a difference between men and women. Men will want to do stuff that, you know, men can have a really good time with each other without having to talk with each other. Like that's the thing. Like, you know, my biggest thing since I moved out here is the fact that I didn't know anybody. My entire social circle is back in Virginia, days away. And I got to the point where it's like, I want to meet more people outside of the office. And, you know, with this, it's like, I tried finding churches. I still have not found a church here. It hasn't been for a lack of trying. It's just that I can only go and start with so many new introductions so many times. I'm kind of just taking a break. And, you know, like with that, it's like, you know, I thought, you know, maybe I'll meet some friends there or something like that, because I would like to hang out with people. I'm as much as I call myself an introvert, I am very much a social person. I want to go out and do things. But what I found was that I can't make friends at a Bible study. I really can't, especially with other guys. It's just one of those situations where the first time we meet each other is not me going deep into theology or biblical worldview or anything like that. Like, that's nice. I don't have a problem with that, but I find it a little bit awkward. And it's like, you know, we're kind of jumping to like, you know, second base opinions. It's like, I don't want to start getting into some of this stuff. It's feeling a little bit too intimate. Whereas if like jiu-jitsu, well, you know, like I've already made a few friends through that. I wanted to do some type of sport. And I always, like, I did combat sports as a teenager, and, you know, that was very much a part of the Army. So I was like, you know, I want to do something that's familiar. And there was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school literally less than 10 minutes away from my apartment. So doing that, like, I have not had many conversations with people there, but I consider some people like I'm pretty friendly with. I mean, one, it's pretty diverse in age for the adult classes. It's primarily male, and we do have a good chunk of females who are there. And, you know, it also helps that there's a good number of veterans. So, you know, this idea of, you know, you can have fun in like the weirdest way, because like with these dudes, like, you know, with jiu-jitsu, it's like we're all over each other. You're like, you've got some guy like grinding on your side and you're breathing in like that hot uniform air, and his like breath is on your face. And it's just like really uncomfortable. But it's also like one of the situations where it's like, you know, I would rather be like, you know, in a situation where it's like me and him are in a simulated way trying to kill each other, knowing that the moment somebody taps out, the whole thing is over and he's going to help me up. Like, it's one of those situations where it's like the ice is totally fucking broken and we didn't have to say a word. I'm looking at these guys. I'm like, man, you nearly made me black out, which is another running theme of what my goals is, not black out during class or after class. But, you know, it's stuff like that where it's like, I don't think I won't say I think. I'll say I know this. Women are completely different in that regard, where they really want to talk to each other, because women are far more verbal than men.
I think we should try, each of us should try this experiment separately, but I think we should all try to go on a first date at a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class.
Oh no, I'm already spoken for, but seriously, you two should try and do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think the women,
date, like on a first date with someone we barely know.
You bring somebody, you both try Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Well, most Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools offer, you know, the first class is free.
All right, cheap date.
I mean, you're gonna get, you're gonna. It better be somebody that you don't mind immediately being on top of you. No, like that's just the thing. Like, oh God, like, okay, this is fucking awkward. Okay. The first person I rolled with, and by the way, the first person who also choked me out, literally choked me out, was
in class or on a date.
That's a second date type thing. But like, no, like during the class, it was this 19-year-old girl who looked kind of like, who's the comedian? It's not Melissa McCarthy.
I think
know.
the like young comedian.
Yeah, the one from Bridesmaids.
Oh, I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of it.
She's not fat. She's just very, like, I'm trying to be nice. Like, she's very stout.
Yeah.
Like, she's a very short, stout woman who may like women too. I don't know. But like, and I'm not, oh God, I sound like a dick already. I'm not going to save myself. So anyway, like, she was the first person. I was paired up with her and they were like, you go with her. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. So the first thing we're doing is we're getting ready to break a guard. So what that means is that I'm between her legs and she has her legs wrapped around me and I'm like simulating choking her. So I'm just like, oh God, like this is fucking terrible. And I'm just asking her and I'm just like, where do you want my hands? Like, do you want, like, tell me what you want me to do. I don't want to get in trouble or have anything happen. And this lady fucking flips me around and chokes me, not with her hands or her arm. What she did was she took my uniform and she did something called a cross collar choke. She choked me with my own uniform. So this woman has me on my chest. She's sitting on my back and she's choking me out with my own fucking clothes. And I'm just like, what the fuck just happened?
Man, if a first date goes wrong, I mean, at least now we have some self-defense, if you happen to go hiking with a guy on a first date.
You pull out the jiu-jitsu.
That's crazy.
I feel like you could learn a lot about a person on that date.
Yeah. You can
Also,
don't you want to know that your guy can take a hit?
Exactly. No, you can see how well they can defend you, and how protective they are of you. Like, do they actually, are they going to hit you in like a bad way or like
a bad way?
Like, are we talking like a Chris Brown way?
Stop it.
No, like,
Oh
what's a
my
bad way of
God.
hitting you? Like, get away from me. Like, a fish hand strike or whatever.
If they actually like kill you.
If a guy accidentally gives you a black eye, no, like, let's stick with the train of thought. You go,
like
you both go, what?
What did you say?
Said if they're like, if they're like a wife beater or not. Like,
Oh God.
you would know one day if you ever got married, if they would be abusive.
Thanks for that, Megan.
I mean, I think it's good to figure that out in advance, but it's like,
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
okay.
Figure it out on the first date before you get in an abusive relationship.
So what's good? What's like good hitting? Like, how is him hitting you well? Like, how do you differentiate between that and like bad hitting? Like, he's on top of you and he's just like pounding your face with his fist. Like, is that the boundary? It's like, oh, he gives you a black eye. I'm going on a second date with this guy.
Do you mean like strategy, Megan? Like if they are doing jiu-jitsu and they're using good strategy, but they're not actually trying to like hurt you?
Yeah, I think that's
Okay.
what I'm trying to get at.
So okay, let's assume
they're fighting you or like another guy. Like if they're fighting another guy, you can see, oh, this man could like defend the household, and you kind of find that out quickly, which is nice. But then it's like if they were trying to like fight you, it's like, oh, this guy has like a bad power complex and doesn't respect women.
okay.
Am I reading
I could. So like if okay, so you go on this free class to the jiu-jitsu gym and you walk out and it's like you're just like, this guy couldn't submit me. Like, he tried everything and he just couldn't get the full arm choke in. I don't think he's cut out for a second date. Like, is that going to be part of the criteria? Or is it more like, okay, like it was fun versus now I have a black eye and a chipped tooth?
Well, no, I mean, if they like, you don't want them to like actually hurt you, like you want someone to be like protective of you.
See, I wouldn't put myself in the situation. That seems like literally the worst first date.
You're not,
idea.
you're not in on the jiu-jitsu date idea.
Nope.
I'm just having fun with imagining it. I know.
I don't know, Megan. I think you have to do this now.
Yeah, you've signed yourself up. I'm not.
There are plenty of jiu-jitsu schools around you.
Really?
Yeah, there are 3 in Fairfax.
Yeah, interesting.
I think you would I think you would like jiu-jitsu.
I feel like I low-key need it to just for the self-defense. I don't think actually for the dating, but like if I date like any more weirdos in my life, then it's good to have, you know?
You know, like, and this was the one weird thing about the Army, like with the military as a whole, like the whole thing about like sexual assaults against women in the military. I want to preface, I'm not saying it's overblown, but what I am saying is that the Army puts women in an uncomfortable position because you're automatically expecting that because everyone is a soldier, that's just not going to happen outright. But it's also like one of those things where it's like, I believe that, you know, one of the mistakes of letting women in was that we didn't properly prepare them. So it's like, I think for women who join the military, they should take a sexual assault prevention class. They should take like a small degree of jiu-jitsu or Krav Maga or something, or even just women in major cities. It's like, it's dangerous to be a woman in DC these days. There have been more sexual assaults and rapes in DC the last 2 years than there have been in the last decade. So, you know, that's what I like about jiu-jitsu, and I mean judo also has some of that stuff because there's a higher emphasis on doing stuff that's unique for women. Like with my school, Tuesdays is women's only. But here's the other thing I like about it. Like the men have to roll with the women and the women have to roll with the men. So you have to quickly understand each other because you're about to get up all in each other's everything. And like, you need to have those boundaries set. But at the same time, it still needs to mimic like actual combat. Like you need to get out of that situation. This guy's actively trying to get at you.
I'm about to like low-key look this up.
I think you should go try a free class. I think you'll get hooked. And a month later, you're going to be like, Remso, you know, I heard how you got choked out. Poor form, man. Poor form. You black out again?
I'm just so tiny. And I feel like
You're shorter than me. You're what, like 5'6"?
I'm 5'3" and 3/4.
Rachel, I feel you're low-key tall.
No, I'm 5'1". Dude, I'm so little. It's fine.
You're strong though.
Yeah, I'm pretty strong. But it's got these.
I'm strong too. I can lift Raj bridal style, contrary to her brother's belief. But
yes, I know. What was I gonna say? I don't remember what I was gonna say. I was gonna say something.
So you're not gonna do the jiu-jitsu date?
Oh, absolutely not.
I don't think I could do it on a date. I'd want to like, if I were to do it on a date, I'd want to have had a couple classes at first so I could just put them in their place, you know?
I like that idea.
I feel like sometimes it's also with activities, like activity dates. I mean, it's good because you can kind of see, I guess, how that person is and like how they are in terms of, what is it called? Like winning, like if they're a sore loser or like super obsessed with winning. But that's why I also feel like that date could go wrong. Like if they are really, like if you went bowling with someone who was like obsessed with winning, it wouldn't be fun because you'd be like, okay, we're like, you're just too competitive. And I feel like I'm kind of competitive with myself, but then I also get really stressed if I'm like competing with someone else. So I wouldn't want to go on a date where it feels like, oh, we're like competing against each other.
What if it's like Topgolf? I wish Topgolf was around when I was in like college and stuff, because we didn't have one where I was at. I didn't go to Topgolf until I already graduated from college. But like Topgolf is cool because like they've got like little like mini games you could play. But most of the time people are just swinging their golf club drunkily, trying to not like throw the club at the same time because you're on like those little levels. So it's like I've seen people like throw their golf club across, but like that's fun because you can get food, you can get drinks brought to you. You're just like smacking golf clubs. And it's one of the situations where I feel like with me, maybe it's because I'm not that competitive, but at the same time, it's like, you know, everyone's going to look weird in that situation. Like you want to break the ice. Like my biggest thing has always been like, how do you best break the ice? Like she's making fun of me because I can't hit a ball. I'm making fun of her because she threw her golf club. Something like that I could see being funny.
Yeah. I like the light roasting for sure. Rachel, that's really funny you mentioned that about bowling because I was talking to my friend earlier today about this episode. She's had a lot of like weird date experiences. So I was like, do you have any?
She needs to try jiu-jitsu.
She does. She really does. But no, she actually mentioned bowling and she was in college and this guy, she had class with this guy and he came up to her one day after class, was like, I think you have the most beautiful profile. Like, could I go on a date with you kind of thing? She was like,
Wait, like Facebook profile?
No, like I think
No, like profile of your face.
the side of her face.
Oh, that's a odd compliment.
I love that. If someone told me that,
but like she'd never.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know the way she described.
You like that?
I mean, it's better than, hey, you're hot.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Okay.
Hey, hottie, like, okay. I could have gone that with some stranger on the street, but all right, we'll pretend you're special. Anyhow, but she had to pick him up. And so, which, whatever, that's fine. She picks him up, and I guess she was like a nanny as her like part-time job. So she had 2 car seats in the back, and he was like, car seats, do you have kids? And she was like, no, I don't, like, I just nanny. And he was like, can we go drop those off before? I'm not like comfortable with them being in the car.
What the hell?
She was like, no. And so they go to the bowling alley. He's like, he got super competitive and was totally like beating her at bowling the entire time, was like bragging about it, making her feel like so like awkward, because he was just like super dramatic every time he got a strike. Be like, oh, that was so awesome. Like, I'm killing it. It was just bragging the whole time. And then at the end of the bowling game, he asked the like person, like when he went up to pay, to print out the bowling card because he'd like never done that well before.
Stop.
I'm dead serious. And
Stop it.
He like asked for it to be printed out, and then she goes to like drop him off, and he tries to kiss her, and she like wasn't into it. So she like backed up, and he's like, what, do you not want to kiss me? She's like, no, I mean, I just met you. And he goes, oh, are you a lesbian? And she's like, date's over.
Are you kidding?
She's had some
holy shit.
Now, this was years ago. She's kind of in like, I think her 30s now. So this was like a while back, but still, it's just
that's
like
literally the worst date I've ever heard of. Wow.
Right?
Oh my
I was
gosh.
It just got worse.
Shit.
It gets worse.
You do bowling, you got to do bowling right.
You have to lose.
No, you don't have to lose, but you just don't be a dick about winning. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because especially if you lose, if you like let me win, that's stupid to me. That's like beta male. Like, no.
Called beta.
I mean, the idea of a jiu-jitsu date is now
lie.
sounding better than bowling. I mean, still, it's in the realm of possibility. The worst date I ever went on actually started pretty well. We went out. Oh, it was the date I brought up last time where like in the middle of dinner, she's like, what is this? And I'm like, what? She's like, what are we doing? What is this? And like it.
Want to say like I would never actually say out loud.
She's spunky. Like we stayed friends after that. But like, I was definitely like, shitting bricks. But like actually, yeah, no, she kind of pissed me off after that because what she did was she wanted, like, the first thing we went to was we went to some bakery right next door, and she got some pastries, and I paid for the pastries. And then we were driving back, and she's like, hey, you want to go to Sonic? So I'm like, yeah, let's go to Sonic. And I paid for Sonic. So like I had paid for quite a bit on that night, and I thought it was going really well. So I drop her off in front of her place, and I don't remember how I phrased it, but I basically like asked permission. It's like, can I kiss you? And she just looked at me. She's like, oh no. And she walked out. And that was the one date we went on. And here's the fucked up part. Here's the real fucked up part. Years later, we were talking when we reconnected and stuff like that. Now we're just friends. And she's like, if you'd asked me out on a second date, I totally would have let you make out with me. I'm like, what the hell?
I don't understand.
What the hell?
Wait, she said that she would have kissed you if you had asked her out on a second date and then tried to kiss her?
Oh, if she said that if you had asked me out on a second date, I would have let you make out with me. Like, we're beyond kissing at that part. But like, I was just like, what the fuck type of criteria was that? But it was in one of those situations where it's like, it just kind of kept going and going and going. And it's like, that added up. Like, like we're driving my car. I paid for dinner. I paid for your shit. And I paid for your dessert. And I brought you back. And like, I'm a gentleman throughout it all. And my biggest thing was just like, I felt kind of used on that situation. And, it was one of those moments where it's just like, I kind of let her dictate a lot of that first date now that I look back at it.
That's such a crappy way to say no to. Like, if she didn't want to kiss you, she could have just been like, oh, I don't kiss on the first date or something.
I'm dating Jesus. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, like whatever, like I don't kiss before marriage. Like, yeah, okay. I don't know, but just like, nah.
She's like, oh, you're trying, and I felt super beta in that.
Yeah,
moment.
It's so condescending. Yeah.
Yeah. She wasn't that pretty.
Oh my gosh! Ouchie.
Why? It's been like 8 years. It's been a while.
Oh.
I'm over it. She's over it. It's one of the situations where it's just like, like that was probably the worst date I ever went on. And everything else was better after that. Like, I met my fiance about a year afterwards too. So I wasn't that Ben Ash.
Did you ask her on the date and plan it? Because you said that she was calling a lot of the shots.
Well, I did. I said, let's go into town. And we were, so this was in Marion, Alabama. This was a 2-year military college. So to go to Tuscaloosa, it was about an hour and a half drive, which is another serial killer scenario. Now that I look back at it, it's like you're going to be in a car with this person driving through like the Hills Have Eyes country to another big town. And it's Tuscaloosa. So you might die like just walking across the street or something. So it's like, that does look kind of creepy now since I thought of it. So like, I was like, let's go to dinner. So we went to dinner, but then it's like, oh, I want to go here. Oh, I want to go there. And we went to a few other stores, just like walk around and stuff. Like it was mostly fun. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until I just got, like straight up cold rejected at the end. I'm like, I think I'm not saying I deserve it, but it's like, I think all the signs, at least for me, were indicating it, but I still wanted to really, really make sure because I didn't want to be like, I had just started dating around that time. I didn't want to be too super forward with it. I didn't want to just go in for it. Like that sign, that indicator of when to go in, which everyone knows that indicator, that was not present. So I'm like, I think it's there, but I know that one indicator isn't there. So let's figure it out. And, it's just that I felt like the fact that it kept going on longer. It was like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Mainly because of the driving distance, but it was for a while. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if I'm going to go on a first date, I don't think I actually want to spend that much time with a person, which is why if you stick it to an event, as soon as the thing is over, you're done. Like we'll decide whether or not we're going to do a second one later, but tonight it's kind of over.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's also why I would never let someone drive me, because then you have to rely on them. Like when they're done, they can be like, oh, we should leave. But if I bring my own car, I can be like, oh, I have to go somewhere actually. Bye.
Do you think like vicinity matters?
How do you mean, like where they take you, or like?
Yeah, like if we're going somewhere up the road, which is like, a few minutes away from where I'm at. If I were a woman in the situation, I wouldn't think that would matter too much. Or does that matter?
What do you mean, like meeting there or picking?
Okay, so a guy's gonna pick you up from your place, and he's just gonna drive you basically around the corner to go get dinner.
I just don't like the idea of someone driving me, mainly because I don't want them to know where I live on the first date.
It depends. Like if it's
I never thought of that as a fact.
No, I don't like.
Huh.
Because it kind of makes me nervous.
that actually makes a lot of sense now since you bring it up that way.
Yeah,
I think it's a fair point.
That's very fair.
I think especially as adults, like I feel like college was kind of one thing. You're like on a college campus, whatever, you're probably going out with like another college kid. It's fine. But I feel like, as an adult, like if you live alone, or even if you do live with like a couple other girls, it's kind of like, I don't want this guy.
Yeah, I live alone, so I'm not going to be like, hey, here's my address. And then if it goes poorly, now you know where I live.
Rachel, that's why you have to do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Moral of the story, jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu and don't die.
And don't die.
Megan, did you see that article that came out from the Washingtonian saying that Washington, D.C. was the best city in America for dating?
I heard about that. Someone told me that.
Well, BS.
Rachel, what were your thoughts?
I think the reason why, I think it's fair, but I think it's only fair because there are multiple schools in DC and there are multiple like higher education schools, like law schools, things like that. So And obviously there's a lot of companies. So I think it's more just that you just have a lot of young people in DC now. And like, they've done a lot to the actual city to make it more appealing to like young professionals. And so I don't necessarily think the quality of people there are like into like really, I don't know, people that I would personally want to date. But I think that it's ranked so high because it's probably one of the youngest cities now. So you just have so many young people that are just constantly going on dates. But I don't think that means that it's the best place to date, if that makes sense.
I want to go ahead and read some tweets from people who went ahead and responded to this article.
I'm excited.
Yeah, and the tweet from the Washingtonian from September 24th, I'll go ahead and include it over in the show notes today, was a new report has crowned DC the best city for dating. Yes, you read that correctly. This is from one person. 80% chance the dude who authored this report is wearing a gingham shirt.
Gingham.
What the hell is that?
That's like that checkered pattern.
Like think of a tablecloth.
It has a name?
Think of like a tablecloth. Like,
it's not plaid?
No,
plaid is different.
Lines and like the.
Oh.
They're very similar though.
The more you know. Okay, this one this one was from I forget her last name. But she's funny. She never shows her last name. My friend got broken up with because the State Department guy, quote, really wanted a girlfriend who knew a critical language.
Stop it. That's amazing. Why
that
would
is
you date
so
specific?
Else? That is so specific. That's real.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just confused because it's like you would know that though. Like if that was like a criteria, which is a stupid criteria to have, but let's say that's your criteria. Why would you date someone who doesn't have that criteria and then break up with them?
I feel like he was
just that on the first date. You know,
of all the things, that's like of all the things you're gonna disqualify women for. I feel like in DC though, like there are far more women than there are guys.
Really?
So if you're
I didn't know that.
Women far
like Napoleon complexes.
Well, they do. That's why they're in DC.
Exactly.
But it's like there are far more women than there are men. So the dating pool for men is incredibly more competitive than it is for women. So it's almost like, in that situation, it's like, unless you're getting like another date after this with somebody else, unless you're like so competent, like just be glad she wanted to go out with you, dude, because it's not like she didn't have choices. This one is okay. Was the report written by a man who wears gingham shirts and Sperry's and works as a consultant?
That's what I was going to say. Everyone in DC is a consultant. Like the dating pool is the same. It's like one person just multiplied.
It's true.
Like everyone's dad got them their job or whatever, and now they're a consultant.
All the consultants can't define what consulting is. I feel like I have the one feather in my cap that I can define what I do as consulting for clients, and I can distill it down to like one sentence. All these other guys are like, well, I help maximize and strategize, and it's like, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're saying. Next one. This is like saying LinkedIn is the best dating app.
I could see that.
So, fun fact: once this guy was like, I guess, interested in me or whatever, and he stalked me on LinkedIn because you know how LinkedIn will say like so and so viewed your profile.
I hate that.
And he made a reference though to my link, like to my resume. I'm not even kidding. Like we're DMing.
Do you speak a critical language?
But he made a reference about like one of the certifications I had, and I was like, so confused. I'm like, wait, did you look at my LinkedIn? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, that is so weird. But at the same time, when you think about it, it's like if I have my information on LinkedIn public, it's not like, it's like a weird thing to want to know about someone, but I guess it's technically not that intrusive. But I just thought that was the most. You should
at least lie and say no.
But I saw that he had.
Okay, but like you should at least lie.
No, I just feel like at that point, just don't reference it. Or you could be like, oh, hey,
Did he leave you at least a 5-star review?
No, it's like, it'd be one thing if he asked to connect on LinkedIn and then looked at it, but he literally just like looked at my LinkedIn.
He didn't even give you a connection?
No, he didn't.
Did he try and connect to some of your connections?
No, now we're connected
Bastard.
on LinkedIn though. Now we're connected on LinkedIn, but no, I actually have heard, it's never happened to me, luckily, but I've heard that a lot of women on LinkedIn, a lot of guys will try to treat it as a dating app, and like they'll message girls and be like, oh, I think you're pretty, or like, oh, we should go get coffee or whatever. And they're like, this is a professional platform. Like, it's not for.
I have seen situations twice now where 2 female colleagues, one of them never went out with the guy. He just messaged her a bunch of times, but he was getting really kind of flirty and it was unprofessional. And then like she ignored him and he kept sending her messages like, if you don't want to talk to me, can we at least go back to business on this? And then the final message was, you bitch. So then she just blocked him. So that was one situation. The other one was the guy had genuinely been talking only about potentially working together on something. So when they did finally meet up, he planned the whole thing out as a date. So she was completely caught off guard and she was married.
Oof.
But I mean, it was just one of those situations where it's like, I think because some dudes know that women aren't expecting it there, they feel like they're more likely to, find susceptible women because they feel like that's like, it's almost predatory in a way.
Yeah.
Like they know because women,
catch them off guard.
Yeah, because they know exactly. It's so fucking weird. I hate seeing people's kids on LinkedIn. Like I only see your family vacation on stuff like that. Like I treat LinkedIn almost like, like this is the robot society. I don't actually want to type a message for you. I just want to click the options for hello, thank you, happy birthday, congratulations.
Yeah.
Man, that is weird.
But
What was the last one? Oh, well, this is where I'll leave this one off. DC is the best city for dating if your goal is to be left questioning all the personal and professional decisions that led you to the state.
Honestly. That's funny.
I was a girl only went out with me a couple of times because she wanted to get to this was when I was at Freedom Works. She only wanted to come to a Freedom Works mixer because we had a keg in the office.
Stop.
And after she got there, never spoke to me again.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's so weird. Yeah, I also feel like in DC, this has never happened to me, but what I feel like could happen is because so many people there are kind of like power hungry or they want to like do whatever. I feel like it's very easy to date someone because it's like, oh, your dad works here, or like, oh, you are in this business with this guy and like I want to influence, I don't know. I feel like people could date each other in DC where it's almost like, are we dating or are we just networking?
It's almost like a royal family situation.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
I feel like the only reason that article even like said that was just like best for dating is in like quantity of dating. Like there's just a lot of dates and a lot of people to date, but like there's no like good quality dates in that, or like there's very few, and definitely even fewer probably quality like relationships.
What's really sad, and I see this more with my friends who are women, is in DC. Like DC has been voted like the city of the most attractive people per capita as well. I don't know how someone comes up with those things, but DC usually gets that label. And what's really funny is, I honestly, I can kind of see it, but it's also like in a different way. Like people are always made up. Like people are always like trying to get that first impression down. It's almost like a science. So like I would say that DC probably has the most physically attractive women. However, the self-confidence of a lot of those women, and I'll say this is in large part to the degree of men that are there who are mostly the same. I call them Mr. Smiths, like from The Matrix, Like they're all consultants. They primarily go to networking events for free beer and to try and get someone's card. And they all want to go and be a Hill staffer, end up going and working at Deloitte at some point. And you've got these dudes that because they have that Napoleon complex, the Lilliputian complex, they feel already that they're in this power player mentality, so that they go ahead and treat women in a way that like is almost really weird, because it's not like, you know, the nerds have won in DC, so to speak, because there's far more women than there are men. It's almost a situation where they really treat it like more of a game, like a comeback game. Like now they're in the position where they can possibly get a woman who would typically be out of their league back home, wherever they're from. And because of that, they go out of their way to hurt them. And I've seen that in like very weird situations where I'll see a friend of mine who, you know, like in my subjective way, like she's a 10 and this dude is Gollum from the Lord of the Rings, but he has a car, he seems nice, and the first date went all right. And it's like this dude is kind of like gaslighting you in because he's questioning your job, and he's, you know, he wants to go out and do stuff with his friends and stuff like this in a way where it's almost like work never stops. So it's one of those situations where I just see like these incredibly attractive and very, you know, well-accomplished women who are just really beaten down. And it's like, I kind of understand the animosity towards men in DC specifically. I wouldn't say it's like that everywhere. Absolutely not. But definitely in DC.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I feel like you see a lot of really attractive people with below average people.
I don't get, though, that's a big thing in the South too. They always have jokes about that. Like, Southern colleges, the girl will be like the most beautiful thing ever, and she just is with this guy who just looks so average. And I just don't understand that. I don't know.
I fucking questioned myself. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to go to school in the South, because I'm like, you're telling me I can get a super hot woman who will settle for me? Like, this is freaking awesome. Like, what really confused the fuck out of me was that show Duck Dynasty. Because you had the dude Willie. And then you had his wife, Corey. And it's like, Corey's a freaking smoke show. How the fuck does this happen?
But that's literally, I feel like that's all Southern couples, or the majority.
Alabama, I saw it more than anywhere else.
Yeah.
You want to see something that looks like a human trafficking situation? You go like the Birmingham airport. You're like, girl, like blink 5 times if you're being held captive.
So fun fact, when I flew out of the Birmingham airport a couple weekends ago to go to Denver, and this is completely not relevant to anything, but
relevancy went out the door a while ago.
I had to get a breast pat down by TSA.
Oh no.
And I had literally never heard of that in my life. Like, I know they have regular
that's not real.
No, I was like,
is that real?
I'm like, am I being sexually assaulted in the Birmingham airport? Because there were a lot of people, and they're trying to get them through the
Megan,
scanner.
can you Google this?
They're trying to get people through the scanner really quickly, right? So I like get in the scanner and put my hands up, but I guess I kind of moved. And so instead of asking me to do it again, they're like, oh, you moved. I'm gonna have to do a breast pat down. And it was a woman, but I was still just like, I feel like you could have just asked me to get back in the scanner and redo it. But now your like hand is on my boob. So I'm like, where do we go from here? But I just wanted to share that about my travel experiences at the Birmingham airport.
If it makes you feel better, the last time I flew out of Reagan, I was catching a red-eye flight at 4 a.m. And I have a habit of always getting like the worst TSA experiences. So I promised myself I would never be a victim again. And I would be the person that makes them hate their jobs and potentially want to quit. So this guy needed to do a pat down around my waist and my groin. So before he put his gloves on, he went ahead and made eye contact with me. So I'm like, okay, here's your shot, boy. And I went ahead and told him, sir, I just want to let you know I have a physical condition where I orgasm upon physical contact.
Stop.
And no, I didn't stop. So he goes ahead and he touches me, and I'm just like, nobody's here except you and him and 3 other agents. Let this be your moment. And I just let out a, oh God. And I do like, you know, the spasm. I'm like, oh God. And like everyone just stares at me. And I notice that there are people on the second level of Reagan looking down, staring at me. So I'm just like, I told you. And he's like, get your shit and go. Get out.
It's like, you know what? But that's
I have
his
never
fault
gotten
for touching
through
you.
so fast. Like he didn't know if I was telling the truth or not. Lots of weird shit happens, like narcolepsy. So like maybe that's a thing. But you know, it's not like I didn't commit to the role. I was like, you know, this is your fault. You did this.
No, that's the thing. It's if they don't want to have those experiences, don't just touch me randomly. I think that's completely fair.
Yeah. I don't think women should do that because then the guys will be like, what'd you say? But like if you're a guy, and especially if you're a dude,
funny.
like who's just like, you know, you look like you're not enjoying this experience at all. Like they can't arrest you.
That's
They
iconic,
can't.
honestly.
Yeah, that's honestly one of the funniest things I've ever heard. That's amazing.
I've done it twice.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not
Was it
joking.
still at like 4 a.m, or were there other like?
Well, no, the first one was at 4 a.m.
Mhm.
And I mean, 4 a.m. and at Reagan isn't even that packed compared to like some other airports. Like Dulles at 4 a.m. can be packed sometimes, but Reagan for a domestic airport, it was like on a Thursday too. Like, you know, not many people want that many red eyes out of Reagan. It's not a fun airport to go to at all. Nonetheless, that early in the morning. But the second time I did it, I was leaving the Milwaukee airport. And this dude who like legit looks like if he wasn't a TSA agent, he was a sex offender. Like he had a problem with my toothbrush. So he did that to me. And oh God. So like I go through the whole thing and I warn him and he touches me and then like, you know, I'm just kind of going with it. And he's like, you feel like I should bring my manager over here? And I look at him as I'm like pretending to breathe heavy. I'm like, what? So I could tell him that you made me come? And he's just like we stared each other down for a minute. And like, it's not good for me. I'm thinking like, you know, like if you blink, he's going to call his fucking manager and you're not getting home today. But instead he was just like, you have 3 seconds to get out of my face. And I was just like Speedy Gonzalez. I'm out. I got my stuff on delay. So after that, I was like, you know, that moment got really close for me. So I'm like, I can't do that again.
Yeah, I think it's probably you got to retire the act, you know.
It gets to the point where it's like comedians. There's a diminishing return on the same joke.
Yeah.
You know, I think next time I'm just gonna pretend not to speak English or just not speak at all. I'm gonna throw out hand signals that look more like gang signs than sign language.
Oh my God.
So like, you know, the show must go on. But yeah, like that's. I knew a couple one time. They had a first date at Dulles Airport. No, they met each other on Tinder, and they actually walked past each other and recognized each other. So they went to one of the wine bars at the main gates at Dulles, and they had their first date there.
Are they married now?
I hope so.
That's
like some
actually pretty funny.
That's like some millennial Sleepless in Seattle shit right there. I hope so.
Yeah, he's so cute. Aw.
That is kind of cute.
First date at the airport.
Yeah, well, but I'm just kind of confused because like you must have both had a lot of time before your flights. You know,
it's Dulles. You show up 5 hours early in case the TSA takes 3.
Yeah.
That's so funny. What if they were like flying to the same place?
Oh man, I really hope they got married.
Dude, I feel like, you know, when you're at the airport and you're just kind of people watching, I feel like I always fall in love with people at the airport. And I'm like, I'm literally never going to see them again in my life. But I always tell myself, I'm like, I'm going to bump into someone and we're going to, I don't know how that would happen to me, but I always tell myself that I will.
Low key, when I was in like 2nd grade, I remember we did like a family trip to California. And I met this boy like on the flight, and he lived in California, like in San Diego, and had just visited Virginia, like with his family. And like we were going to like visit California, and we like had so much fun on the flight together.
See, I would love to like sit next to a stranger and then be like, you, and they're like end up being like the coolest person ever.
I I think that's how Dana Perino met her husband, but he was also like 18 years older than her. So
They met on a plane out of Reagan.
Yeah.
And he hit her with his bag.
First date, everyone. That's how you do it.
That's funny.
Yeah. It's so funny. I was flying out from Virginia on 9/11 back to Milwaukee to go see my family. And I chose 9/11 because the airfare was so cheap. And in my defense, no, like it was like $300 less. Like,
no joke, man.
Yeah. Like it was like, okay, here's a travel hack. If you're ever going to fly around 9/11, just fly on 9/11. Like nobody was there. I got a whole row to myself both times. But, when I was flying to Virginia the week prior, I did a whole episode about my opinion of masks at airports and stuff like that. People can go back and listen a few episodes back and listen to that. But one thing that like, I feel like, okay, that photo of the sailor, like kissing a nurse on the day that we won World War II and everything, that photo, I saw like the COVID equivalent of that. I saw this one couple at a gate about to board. They took off their masks and like dramatically, like they threw them down and they just started viciously like making out with each other. And like, I'm walking past this, like this was like at like midnight too, because I choose the worst hours to fly. And I'm just walking around, got like crust on my eyes. I had a few drinks. I'm just like, want to get the fuck out of here. And I see this, I'm like, I put my hands up because I was about to start clapping. And then take my mask off in solidarity. But then I was like, no, I'll be the one getting arrested today. But it's like I saw that and I'm like, do I take a photo? Is that weird? I'm just going to resort just to talking about it and let it live on symbolically. But yeah, like that was one of those things that happened. It's like I look at that couple and like, one thought that went through my head was, oh, what if this went super viral? But then like, he's got a girlfriend back home and she's like, you dick. And then I'm like responsible for that. So it's like, no, like he already had problems if he's doing that. But like, I don't want to be caught in the middle of this. So like, I was just like, I'm just going to let this moment
happen.
Pass. Yeah. I'll let it pass. Huh?
Where were the TSA agents with that for taking their masks off,
I don't know. I was looking around asking myself the same question. I'm like, this is the COVID resistance photo. Just make it black and white and put Dulles Airport.
Circa
2021.
Circa 9/11 2021.
20 years later. This is what
we will rebuild.
I know things aren't going well in Afghanistan right now, but we could totally just look at that moment.
Moment of silence just for love. Love really conquers all.
Oh my gosh. So we gotta start wrapping up. So we might as well just answer the one question I had actually written down. Megan, what would your first ideal date be? And what's your advice to guys as they're planning?
I feel like, I guess I didn't really answer that earlier.
We got into the lady who died in the national park and a whole bunch of other stuff. We lost the show a while ago.
I would say I liked what Raj said with dinner, but I feel like if dinner is like too much for you as a guy, if that's too like stressful, because that is kind of like a little more,
I think that's less stressful. It's that we think that's overdone.
Fair enough.
But just because it's overdone also doesn't mean that it's a bad choice either. I mean, it's almost like just one of those things that people feel obligated to do. So I think I'd call it more of like a societal, like this is the model of which you do it.
Yeah. I feel like, I would say probably dinner. And then if dinner is too much so, then probably like drinks would be like a close second, But like, I kind of like, if you want to be a little more outside the box, like sort of breweries or wineries, I think.
Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, that's really outside the box. But like, I don't know, a brewery or a winery that's got like nice scenery can be kind of like a little more touching than just like inside.
I think Derek should take her out to a winery. I think that would be knock on wood, he gets another date sooner than later, especially with fall in Virginia, with like the leaves really changing and stuff.
You're like a pumpkin patch. I know Rash is always
make it look like a Hallmark movie.
Megan, don't even. So me and Megan have this joke that I have always wanted to go to a pumpkin patch on a date, and none of my past boyfriends have ever wanted to take me because they don't want to go to a pumpkin patch because they're guys and don't understand why it would be cool or whatever. But I'm the exact same way. I didn't do that with my fiance until like year 3 of dating. I was like, you've brought it up enough times. We'll go to the damn pumpkin patch. To answer the question, I would say ideal first date, dinner, but ideal date overall, driving, like if I already know them or whatever kind of, and I feel safe with them, driving to like a pumpkin patch that's maybe like 30 minutes, an hour away, listening to alternative music and then going to the pumpkin patch and then maybe getting like lunch or something afterwards and then driving back and listening to music. That's my ideal date.
That's so much work.
But I think it's so cute.
Not that bad. You drove an hour and a half to Tuscaloosa for a girl that you barely knew. So a girl
I was also going to a school with like 20 women. It's not like,
options were limited.
Yeah, options were limited. I had already kind of exhausted my welcomes at the all-girl school across the street. So, you gotta make do with what you have.
Gotta be resourceful.
Ratch has always wanted a pumpkin patch date, and every relationship I've ever been in, I've asked for a zoo date, and I've yet to get my zoo date. I just think it'd be so fun to look at like the panda bears, and I want like the National Zoo, the one in DC. I remember I had one of my exes after he broke up.
You should go to the Baltimore Aquarium.
Zoo, like close by. I do kind of want to go there for a date, but I also Baltimore's scary, like I don't want to die, but that would be a fun date too.
That's the big theme. Don't die.
Yeah, it would just be stressful getting there,
The zoo. Like, captivity is like one of those things that you want to share with on the first date. I'm joking. I think they're better in a zoo than they are getting shot.
Oh my God.
Did they get the zebras back?
I mean, when you think about it though, a zoo is almost
Wait, did they lose them?
It's almost like a relationship, it's like a lot of like you kind of like hone in your wild side. And you're held captive in a relationship. Like you can't go be wild.
That sounds horrible.
It's symbolic.
That sounds horrible.
Well, no,
Megan should really do your wedding speech or like whatever the thing is the pastor says. Megan should do that at your wedding.
Do the vows. What you're both agreeing to is lifelong captivity. And as Harambe once said, don't shoot.
Okay, honestly, moment of silence for Harambe. Rest in peace, Harambe.
Rest in power, King. Rachel, you didn't hear about the zebras that got loose?
No, where did they go?
Megan, you live right there. You don't know about this?
I try to not pay attention. I literally try to live under a rock because I hate it here. But
I have to find this because I don't want to be wrong about this.
Gotta put it in the show notes.
My gosh, like.
Oh yeah, it says they're still running loose in Maryland.
Maryland zebras.
It says it's been 23 days since 5 zebras escaped from a farm near Upper Marlboro, Maryland.
Okay, I'm just going to read the headlines for these. Zebras on the lam are dazzling suburban Maryland. Maryland zebras refuse to give up on freedom.
Hashtag free the zebras.
This is my favorite. This is from WUSA 9 CBS. He stared into a zebra's soul and posted it to Snapchat. Man meets elusive Maryland zebra.
Wait, Remso, I think that I looked up zebras on Google and it says zebras seen running wild on rural Wisconsin highway. So you might have some up near you.
Oh my God, this is meant to happen. So here's what I think is like this is like the ultimate like Chad level first date. Megan, if a dude you like said, hey, do you want to go into Maryland this afternoon and go try and find the zebras with me? That sounds like an adventure.
Bro, that's so funny you said that. So I don't want to like put myself on blast, but when you mentioned the zebra,
now you have to do it.
Maryland, I actually like went on a date not too long ago with a guy who lives in Maryland. And so when you said they were in Maryland, he happened to text me and I said, apparently zebras ran off in Maryland. Did you know that? Do you have them? And he said, bruh, what? And I said, let's go find them. So
oh my gosh.
To answer your question, I'm one step ahead of you. I'm already trying to
Oh my gosh, yes. You have to film it. He might not want you to film it, but like that.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe
that's. I mean,
well, I mean, I'm
That'd be
wild
pretty epic,
captivity.
though, if you're like
filming
riding
it. I don't know.
the zebra.
I would want to ride one. Can you ride them?
That'd be so. They apparently get up to 40 miles per hour.
stripes.
I feel like if you're gonna find one, you might as well try.
If you come that close, you better try. But that'd be a cute, like, riding zebras off into the sunset. That'd be like the perfect first date.
Honestly, ideal.
How do you break up with the person you caught zebras with? If that happens, I feel like that's the ultimate test. Like if you find them, you know you found the one. If you haven't, then this guy, you gotta kick him to the curb.
Okay, so any guy I'm interested in, we're just gonna go on a zebra hunt. A wild.
I think you should.
Yeah, even after they find them and put them all back in the zoo, you should still keep looking.
But let's say that, you know, all the zebras are found by then. Like going forward, that should be one of the questions. Would you go find the zebras with me if they got out again?
That's true.
That's a first date question. Like, would they be willing? I actually had texted the guy, let's go find them. He hasn't responded. So give him till tomorrow morning. And if he doesn't immediately just say yes, you know your answer.
Yeah. If there are any more questions, Megan, cut him off, ghost him. I think it's fair to ghost in that case.
That's a character question right there.
It's a flaw.
How curious are they about the zebras?
It's really a question of integrity.
I agree 110%.
I'll know if he'll be a good father to my children.
You'll know if you could build a life with him based off that question easily.
My gosh. You're
reading in the DC area in a nutshell. Go find the zebras.
Do jiu-jitsu, find the zebras, rest in power Harambe. I think that's all you need in a classic dating episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like your listeners are going to be like, they answered nothing of value. Bring them back, or never talk to them again.
No, we're gonna need the zebra updates, especially after you start also doing jiu-jitsu. So, you know, one of you should do one of you should do the other, and then we'll do a status report. Ladies, I've had such a great time tonight. I know the listeners did too. If they want to go ahead and check out your podcast and everything else you do, Peachy Patriots, how could they do so?
I would say follow us on Instagram at Peachy Patriots, and you can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever podcasts are found. You know, it's how they always.
Would you make your first date leave you a 5-star rating and review on Apple?
That's a good idea.
Honestly. Okay, I went on a date with this guy, and I hadn't told him about the podcast. But then I was looking at our analytics, and I saw that we had a certain percentage from his town. And I was just like, he found the podcast, but he didn't mention it. And so I kind of brought up, was so I do this podcast, but I kind of know you already know. And then he was super embarrassed, oh my God, I didn't know you could see that. And I was like, I'm embarrassed. You listened to more about me than I've probably been willing to open up to you podcast, because I'm more open on the internet than I am with guys I date, apparently. So it's just it was so kind of he was very embarrassed, oh shoot, I shouldn't have listened. And I was like, I was trying not to tell you I had a podcast, because I think.
Oh my gosh. Did he at least subscribe?
I don't know. I don't know how to check.
Should be pull out your podcast app on your phone. I want to see your playlist.
That's what we're going to do next time.
My gosh. Well, ladies, we'll have to do a status check on everything, Maryland Zebras included. Thank you so much, folks. While you're going ahead and giving ratings and reviews across Al Gore's amazing internet, why not help your homeboy out here? Go ahead and leave us a 5-star rating and review. It costs you nothing but 5 seconds of your life and keeps conversations like this going. As always, you can go ahead and follow me across the internets at Hey Remso, HEYRAMSO. Follow me. I'll follow you back for a limited time only. This could be yours for $99. I'm Remso W. Martinez. Be safe, be good, and I'll talk to you later.